Alright, it is 9:37 in the morning. In today's video, I'm warning you, it's going to be the most real video I've made yet. And it's all because of one realization that I had about 2 days ago. So when I started this sobriety thing, getting sober for the camera, essentially, series, it felt kind of absurd and silly, but it was optimistic. And it was filled with just, hey, get through each day. But then you have the joy of talking about it, which I always think makes you feel better, talking about stuff. But then a couple days ago, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, this is some real life shit. This is starting to feel really real. Like, I can no longer be like, it's no longer just a little thing. It's actually one of those why crossroads for me, and that freaked me out because I hate real. I'd rather live in my own fake branded world. But I was reading. That was my stomach, I swear. I was reading about this thing. It's called Price's Law, which basically argues that when people begin to have, they will continue to have more. But it also goes in the reverse effect. And it made me realize, this one lady at a meeting one time, she said something so profound. She said, for years I was literally, she was like homeless and like, doing all the things homeless women do who are drug addicts. Let's just put it that way. And she said, people who were sober looked at me and said, oh, that person is living in a world of pain and destruction. But she said, it's a familiar pain. It's the only pain I know. But somehow the fear of living sober and going through that long stretch of like acute withdrawal and pause was scarier. And then getting out there and having to relearn to do your life sober sounds like a nightmare to me. But I started realizing, someone once said to me something that I don't know if it's true, but it was interesting nonetheless. They said, I've known you for a while, and I wonder, are you afraid of failure, or are you afraid of success? And I thought, that's absurd. Who would be afraid of success? But then you kind of realize, you're like, yeah, dude, there's a lot of baggage that comes with success. And in my particular case, I usually upload for days without even looking, because I'm like, I don't really, because, you don't want to, like, if you get a bunch of positive stuff, you're like, yeah, that's good, but I don't want it to get to my head. Then you get a bunch of negative stuff, and nobody wants that, really. I could probably deal with it, of course. But I was like, oh man, I have a few options that I have to seriously start considering. And I was like, one is that I don't get sober. And that's a scary thought. And I thought, what do I even do? Now I'm like almost a month. And I looked at the freaking calendar the other day. I'm like, dude, I think I started on September 2nd, and it's gonna be October 2nd soon. And I was like, wait, what was I talking about? Well, regardless, this sobriety daily upload thing isn't going to go forever. But I'm eventually going to start just making, like, regular stuff. But I was like, what do you do? You're like, do you just say, hey, I'm not sober anymore? Or will I remain not sober and say I am? I'm like, oh, that sounds like a nightmare, that option. I can't do that one. And then, here's the thing, indecisiveness becomes, like, a crippling baggage thing you carry around. And here's the thing about indecisiveness. If you've ever read the book The Prince by that Machiavelli fella, there's one really interesting part where he's like, so say you're like a little country, and then two big countries are going to war. and you have to pick a side, which one you're going to back or defend, you have to eventually decide to do that. Because if you don't, it always ends up worse. Indecisiveness is the mind killer, essentially. So that led it to being more real. This feels real now. This is like a real thing. And also, so I'm making this whole long thing about just telling my whole story. And it's funny because I realize I haven't thought about a lot of this stuff in years. And what's interesting is, like, say, like the word, so nostalgia. Say you're like a kid and you eat, what's like a weird food item? Cracker Jacks. Say you eat Cracker Jacks as a kid, and then later you haven't had them for years, and then as an adult you like smell them. Your brain, when you feel this, it literally goes back to what you felt in that very moment. So I'm like, holy shit, I haven't thought about this stuff in a long time, dude. But I realized throughout this story, um, that it's not gonna reflect well on me and my character and who I am as a person deep down. And I was like, yeah, some of these stories are like littered with like self-centeredness and like violence. I'm like, that's not gonna make me look good. But I have no choice, and I really mean this. I made a decision a long time ago. Well, not too long ago. I said I'm gonna be unapologetically myself. Because YouTube, there's this like pussy ass fakeness to it now that I hate. I can't stand seeing these YouTubers attach themselves to like world issues, and they always choose the most virtuous option. Oh, I'm virtuous. I'm a good night. No, fuck, I'm none of those things. And I won't. I'm never gonna pretend to be something I'm not for a fucking dumb camera. So, what can I do today to keep me going? And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go to a meeting. I'm actually gonna do it. Because if you've watched this whole series, I just basically haven't done that every day. But then the option is always open. So, hope this video was real. I might take a day or two to figure stuff out. Physically, feeling okay. Mentally, joyless. Pause. The inability to experience joy. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are doing well.